The PNP's intensified drive against violators of local ordinances has not reached the provinces. A check by CNN Philippines in key cities outside Metro Manila shows police officers still awaiting orders from headquarters. In Cebu City, only the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. curfew on minors is enforced by village watchmen, but violators are not arrested. Instead, they are turned over to their parents. The city has other ordinances that discourage loitering, such as those that penalize drunkenness, mendicancy, and gambling. The Cebu provincial government also has an anti-truancy ordinance to prevent students from cutting classes and hanging out around their campus during school hours. In Dipolog City, in Zamboanga del Norte, police rounded up minors who violated curfew hours this week, even those inside bars and internet cafes from 10 in the evening until 4 a.m. the next day were picked up and endorsed to the social or turned over to the Social Welfare Department. A survey shows fewer families are reporting that they are victims or that they've fallen victim to common crimes compared to December last year. The first quarter social weather survey in March says about 1.5 million families fall prey to pickpocketing, robbery, break-ins, carnapping, or physical violence in the 6 months before the poll was done. This is fewer than the 1.7 million recorded in December 2017, but slightly above the annual average for last year. The SWS notes that the incidence of common crimes reported in its surveys is much higher than the number of crimes actually reported to the police. The survey, conducted among 1,200 adults, covers the period of March 23 to 27. Malacanang welcomes the results of the survey. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque released a statement which reads in part, quote, "Indeed, significant strides have been made in our campaign against illegal drugs and crimes as families reported fewer break-ins and carnapping," unquote. The police has just gotten a boost in its fight against crime. The PNP has received 1.6 billion pesos worth of equipment. Police stations nationwide will receive 387 patrol jeeps, 59 marked light transport vehicles, and over 6,000 vests. The PNP Special Action Force and mobile forces will also get hundreds of light machine guns, assault rifles, radios, and ammunition. 138 inflatable rubber boats are going to the Maritime Group, Regional Mobile Forces, and SAF for the Special Action Forces, while PNP Administrative, Intelligence, and Investigation units will get light transport vehicles and vans. Drug enforcement agents now want to expand the government's drug war, this time to include school children. The proposal has yet to be tackled with the Education Department, but this early, parents are already raising concerns. Our senior correspondent David Santos reports.
The Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency on Thursday showcasing its close to 200 million peso new equipment to beef up the government's controversial war on drugs. And the agency is about to take it to a new level. It now wants to pry on school kids, proposing to subject students as young and impressionable as 10 years old to drug testing.
Bakit grade 4? Bakit 10 years old? Based on our operations, yung bata na gumagamit ng illegal drugs is as early as 10 years old.
The arrest of a 10-year-old suspected drug user may just be an isolated case, but for Aquino, who can tell?
Definitely, merong mga estudyante dyan na gumagamit at yung iba nagtutulak na hindi natin nadidiscovery pa.
Aquino wants RA 9165 or the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act amended to make school officials, teachers, and students undergo mandatory and unannounced drug testing.
Kasi yung sinususpect nating na gumagamit, yung pala yun hindi. Yung pala yung mababait at tahimik lang, yung pala ang gumagamit. At yun din ang nagtutulak na illegal na droga.
If Congress approves it, Aquino wants the drug tests done in both public and private schools.
Lalo na sa public school, no? Nakakatakot sa public school. Kahit sa primary, malaki ang tsansa na may mga kabataan talaga na gumagamit.
This early, a slew of mixed reactions. The idea comes as a shock for some parents.
Kung ganun kabata, kuya, parang hindi naman siguro.
Others simply ask why 10-year-olds?
Wala pa po yan. Kasi laro pa yan, iniisip nila yan.
The father of a grade 4 student we spoke to chooses to keep an open mind.
Kung para naman sa ng bata, wala namang problema yun. Ayos naman.
Siguro hindi sila ganun handa kasi hindi sila ganun ka-equip kung ano ba talaga, para saan yung purpose ng drugs.
Rights advocates are expressing concern on how this proposal could impact the students' fragile young minds. A mandatory drug test, they say, could trample on a kid's basic rights.
The right to privacy for one, and then the right to consent. They have to be informed of why are they being tested like this, diba?
Yun lang ang proposal ko. And sa tingin ko naman, I have the good intention na kaya ko ginagawa yon.
And while the PDEA's intentions may be noble, parents say that toying with the idea of drug testing on kids could do more harm than good. David Santos, CNN Philippines.
Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara has a lot on his plate since replacing Vitaliano Aguirre back in April, and he gave us a rundown of major issues facing his department in an exclusive interview with CNN Philippines' Pinky Webb.
The Justice Department wraps up its probe and reveals that there's no conflict of interest and irregularity in the contract involving his agency and Solicitor General Jose Calida's security firm. In an exclusive interview on The Source, Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara says the contracts with Vigilant Investigative and Security Agency Incorporated were all above board.
Because this is a public bidding, and all that we need to comply with are the pertinent regulations under the Government Procurement Reform Act. And all of these were followed from the start of the bidding up to the end.
Calida had resigned as Vigilant's president, but some groups are asking the Solicitor General to divest, to which the Justice Secretary supports. Do you think he should divest?
It's better for him if he divested.
Guevara also says that he respects the Supreme Court's decision to oust Maria Lourdes Sereno as Chief Justice.
But if I may suggest, in order to avoid a similar situation in the future, now that the Constitution is proposed to be amended, we'd rather make it very clear in the Constitution that the only way to remove impeachable officers will be by impeachment.
He explains that Sereno's appointment is invalid.
I think the decision was correct.
He also says that he's open to hear new testimonies from alleged pork barrel scam mastermind Janet Lim Napoles, but he says he's leaving Napoles' fate to the National Bureau of Investigation, or the NBI.
They have not even communicated with us. But the thing is, we have already thrown this to the NBI, so the NBI will take the lead.
Guevara adds only the ombudsman can decide if Napoles can turn state witness.
The prosecutor there is not the Department of Justice, but the ombudsman, the special prosecutor. So it will be them who will determine whether a certain witness will be used by the state or not.
The Justice Secretary defends their decision to reverse the immigration order forfeiting the missionary visa of Australian nun Sister Patricia Fox.
Yung pagkakamali is jurisdictional, okay? In law, that's what we call a jurisdictional error. I'm not saying that BI acted abusively or in bad faith. It's just, something like in excess of its jurisdiction or in excess of its authority.
He also hopes that a decision will be made soon on the tragic Maguindanao massacre in 2009 that killed at least 50 people, mostly journalists.
There are just 5 remaining accused who are presenting evidence. So we believe that we can wind up the trial of this case this year. And we're hoping that by 2019, a decision will be rendered by the court.
Guevara also gave an update on the Mamasapano encounter, saying the Supreme Court allowed the hearings to be held in Taguig.
Ombudsman Conchita Acapio Morales defends her resolution against former President Noynoy Aquino over the controversial Disbursement Acceleration Program, or DAP funds. The Ombudsman found probable cause to charge Aquino with usurpation of legislative powers for carrying out DAP. But complainants, including Bayan and Bayan Muna, want Aquino charged with graft as well. Morales says there are options if anyone wants to question the decision. At the same time, Morales says resolutions cannot be rushed, especially if the case is complicated. This is in response to President Duterte, who criticized her for supposedly sitting on the DAP case against Aquino.
I am the ombudsman. I go by the evidence. Now, if they believe that the result of the investigation did not sit well with them, they have options to question it. We decide cases when they arrive for resolution. If they're not for resolution, we do not prematurely decide cases, just to cater to public expectation.
Spokesperson of former President Aquino, Abby Balita, yesterday said Aquino's lawyers are curious as to how the ombudsman reversed itself on a previous finding. But the government has told the National Democratic Front it is suspending all back-channel talks for 3 months to review signed agreements related to the peace negotiations. In a statement, government representative Hernani Braganza says President Duterte's decision to postpone the talks again was relayed to NDF chief negotiator Fidel Gawili and chief political consultant Jose Maria Sison in the Netherlands. Braganza adds the 3-month period will also be used for public and government consultation on the peace talks as ordered by Presidential Peace Advisor Jesus Dureza. Braganza says NDF representatives will keep an open mind on the president's decision and wait for the outcome of the government's review. Better access to mental health care will soon be made available to every Filipino as President Duterte signs the Philippine Mental Health Law. The law requires offering mental health services down to the barangay level and for hospitals to set up mental health programs. It also aims to improve mental health facilities and promote mental health education in schools and workplaces and assist families to deal with the illness. Under the law, government health insurance provider PhilHealth will also cover psychiatric consultations and medicines and not just hospitalizations. In the 2014 report, the World Health Organization said over 2,000 cases of suicide because of mental health problems were recorded in the country in 2012. A number of Filipinos took to social media to celebrate the bill's enactment. Twitter user Renz thanks the government and all the people who lobbied and worked hard for the law. He says, quote, "End the stigma. PH mental health law is here. Help is here." At Catherine, meanwhile, calls his development as one of the few good things happening in the government as of late. For Renz Argao, he claims his new favorite numbers are now 11036 to stand for the Philippine Mental Health Law or Republic Act 11036. This one, meanwhile, wants to see changes beyond the bills signing into law. She calls on everyone to form healthy relationships and to create an inclusive and enabling environment. She ends her tweet with the hashtag #MoveForMentalHealth.